Good morning and welcome to a very special episode of The Angry Astronaut, and not special for reasons that I'm particularly happy about, but once again, we are going through this exciting process of wondering where a long march upper stage is going to come crashing down on the planet. And once again, to emphasize, the odds of this actually harming anyone is very, very low, but at the same time, it cannot be ruled out. And we really have a hard time predicting this thing as well. I mean, as recently as maybe 36 hours ago, they were saying that this thing was supposed to be crashing tomorrow, and now it isn't. It's coming down early this morning. Yes, Skylab was at least somewhat controlled, although we couldn't do things as well back in those days, so it still came down a lot of debris over Australia and such. But yeah, it is a lot like that. And I agree with you, James. It is hard to believe that they could be so irresponsible, because there are definitely ways that they could control this and handle it more efficiently and more responsibly, deorbit it to where it could just crash into the Pacific. But they never do that, and things keep happening. And now, thus far, really the only thing that's ever happened with Chinese launches are when they have failures and it comes crashing down in their own country. That's happened a few times. People have been injured. Some have said killed, although if that were the case, I would say that the government would probably cover that up. Good morning as well, Mafia. Thank you so much. By the way, where is everybody watching from right now? This has all been kind of just a last second notification to everybody, but just wondering where everybody's tuning in from. Where are we keeping track of things? Obviously, it is the dead of night over in North and South America, where a good portion of my viewers are, but not all of them. It's morning here in Europe, where I have lots and lots of viewers. So be interested to see where everybody is checking in from. Yeah, China has not mastered reusability. No, not even close. But anyway, that's just the reality of what's going on right now. We have 90 people watching right now. Really do appreciate that. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Texas, hello, from Tyler, Texas. Israel, thank you so much for tuning in from Israel. Virginia, hello, and good early morning. Colorado Springs, my hometown, Brady. Michigan, awesome, love Michigan. Eugene, Oregon, that's actually my sister lives in Oregon. Norway, hello, Norway. Thank you very much for tuning in. So yeah, it's interesting indeed. Awake with a panic attack. Yeah. Well, from something else. Well, I'm glad this is a distraction then. Buffalo, thank you so much. Bournemouth, thank you. Finland, hello. And for anybody really far north, Carson City. All right, I love Carson City. I'll tell you, it's Philippines. Hello, Philippines. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Iceland, hello, and thank you. Would love your country as well. You're right. Not everybody in North America is asleep. That's for sure. Boy, lots of people tuning in from Oregon, Louisiana, New York, Hungary, Pasadena, California, Utah. Wow, everywhere. That's fantastic. Boy, you guys are up late. Everybody here in the United States, Canada, and elsewhere. It is the dead of night right now. So thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. We have over 100 people watching right now. Really happy about that. Thank you. Not happy, however, for the reason that all of this is happening at the moment and why we're tuning in. As you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, it indicates the current altitude of the booster. It is already in the atmosphere, the upper layers of the atmosphere, as it slowly drags it down into a burn-up. So as a result, we're definitely keeping a close eye on this. And as you can see from the track, you can see where it currently is and where it is likely to pass over. And the booster is scheduled to crash sometime within this 4 hour window. Now they may have, yes, it was from the Menchion launch. That is indeed the case. This again is the Chinese space station deployment. They use their heaviest rockets in order to accomplish that. So the upper stage goes way up into low Earth orbit in order to get the module up there, and then runs out of gas essentially, and then comes right back down in an uncontrolled fashion. There are ways that they could deal with this. There are ways that they could deorbit it more responsibly in a more controlled fashion, but they just don't care. It's as simple as that. It's obvious that they don't care. And did not make a reliable engine on the core stage. It's just, once again, there's a lot of this kind of nonsense with the forgive me, this has been all very chaotic, and thanks, by the way, and props to my producer in Yorkshire for getting all of this ready as fast as he did. Okay. There will be a period of time that my producer will be out taking his kid to school, that sort of thing. So if we encounter any issues during that time, there's nothing we can do during that 40-minute time frame. But hopefully we won't. These streams tend to run very well on their own. Looks like it could hit anywhere. Get to the liquor store before disaster strikes. Its current tracking is what I understand. This is the most up-to-date tracking that we currently have right now. So that's it's real time actually. This is my producer got the best stuff available. So yeah. Just
Checkity check. Hi folks, the rest of the stream is just live for now. Jordan's just using some quite unreliable Wi-Fi to send his signal over to me. He should be back on shortly, so feel free to stick around and watch these stats as they roll along while we just connect Jordan back up.
Do you want me to run another OBS? Okay. All right, good. It looks like I froze. So that could be what's creating all of the problems. All right. I'm no longer viewing. Can you hear me? Yeah. Yep. I connected to a different internet server. Okay. Hello. Sorry about that, guys. We had two different internet servers at this hotel that I'm broadcasting from. One apparently is garbage. So, in any event, that's what created this issue. So, very sorry about that. But I am back, and and once again, I apologize for all that. Boy, what a level of insanity that was. Sorry to have created that problem for everybody, but here I am. And I hope things are going well for all of you. So here's what's again, it's we've gone through this process a number of times now. I think we're all very familiar with what happens here. The booster exhausts all of its fuel in order to get the module deployed, and then begins to plunge out of control. And there's nothing there, no relightable engine to provide a more controlled reentry, and so therefore it just plunges down and crashes. So that's what we're dealing with right now, and we are dealing with a booster that is in the process of coming down uncontrolled, and on a path that we can kind of track, that we can kind of keep up with, but at the same time we really don't understand what's doing it. So that is the situation that we're contending with right now. It is not a pleasant thing at all, not at all. So in any event, that's our current situation, and we will continue tracking this booster as it continues closing in on us. And we don't know exactly, of course, when the reentry is going to be taking place. That is still very much up in the air, but we are in the reentry window. We are re-enter that right now. So we just having a quick look at it right now. We're at 152 kilometers currently. Can we get a quick look of at the booster's current location, please? Can we see that? Once again, this was from the Menxian location. The Menxian launch is what caused this. So the deployment of the Chinese space station. Yeah, I've got my camera tumbling about a little bit as well. I'm in a hotel room, camera sitting on my bed. This is crazy stuff. But yeah, if we can get a look at the status of the location of the booster itself, if that's at all possible, that would be awesome. But once again, that is the current path that we're on right now. And yeah, getting a chance to see where it is, I would suspect that it's probably somewhere over Southern Europe at this point. Although, once again, not positive about that. Bear with me here. It is currently over India. If we could just get I can't, and for some reason I can't see it. Not sure why, but I can't see the actual location from my location. But yeah, we're just trying to get a placement on here. And once again, we threw all this together at the last moment. But yes, it is indeed just passing India right now. We could update the map whenever we get an opportunity to do that. Then we can give you a bet. Oh, NORAD's providing an update. Okay, so that's what the situation is. We have to wait until NORAD provides an update. So that's what we're waiting on right now. And during all that chaos, while I was trying to get a better internet connection, I've also lost my connection to my producer. So I'm trying to gain access to him as well. So once again, sorry about all the craziness, but this is how things go sometimes. I'm communicating with him over Discord, and sometimes this thing doesn't work very well. So, but anyway, not gonna complain too much. Just leaving India, heading towards Singapore. We're waiting for an update from NORAD before we provide the current location. So that's, and by the way, anytime I'm hitting keys on my stinking laptop, even that creates a sort of a strange effect for you guys. I apologize for all of this insanity. We would have handled this a lot better if we had gotten a little bit more notice as to what was going to happen. But I woke up this morning and saw that the reentry time had been changed by many hours, and as a result, we had to really throw things together. We need 2 soup cans and a string. That sounds like a great idea. I would like that a lot. So right now we're waiting for updates. Current altitude is at 147. Man, this thing dropped. There we go. There we go. Thank you very much, ASN, our awesome and hardworking producer in Yorkshire, who he does all the work. All I do is sit here and do my best to keep you entertained. So with the rockets on its last orbit, Perigee 0. As far as we know, no, it's that shouldn't be its current location, but it's getting very close. We'll put it that way. We're really not that far away from a reentry. So in any event, it's still in the sunlit area of the world now, passing over the Indian Ocean, heading towards Singapore, and going to be passing over Australia very soon. Also, in the during the day. Once again, guys, really do appreciate your patience with all of this. As I say, my producer threw this together at the last second this morning. I woke him out of a dead sleep to tell him that all this was happening, and he just did it. So, once again, best producer on YouTube, no question about that. He's always available when I need him. Couldn't ask for better support. So yeah, the stats do not show apogee and perigee. That is actually true on this particular one. But once again, we're getting real time updates on the location. I kind of prefer that, and we can track apogee and perigee anyway, to be honest, because once it stops descending and begins ascending, then it's reached perigee. And then once it stops ascending and then starts descending, it reaches apogee. So, and then we have a printed link giving all the stats as well. So yeah, there's a pinned link. I apologize. A pinned link in the chat, from my understanding, and that's going to provide the necessary information. Yeah, just passing not far away from Adelaide. Very true. And it is dropping as well. It's down to 145 kilometers, under 145 kilometers right now. We really don't have a whole lot of time before this thing re-enters. By the way, guys, the channel has been in a fantastic state of growth. It really has. We've added well over 1,000 subscribers over the course of just the last few days. That's amazing. Just overwhelming. And also the support I've received from all of you guys, that blows my mind as well. And that's what's allowed me to bring you all of this coverage from the UK. And by the way, a special media event taking place at Spaceport Cornwall on the 8th involving the UK Space Agency, as well as the Spaceport and Virgin Orbit, all the big players, all of the popular guys here in UK as far as spaceflight are concerned. They're all going to be there, and I was just invited yesterday. So I'm going to be attending, and it's going to be an amazing thing. So really looking forward to bringing you all of that. So that's the positive stuff. The negative stuff, of course, is that we have this damn thing passing over Indonesia and Malaysia. That sort of thing. It is not pleasant at all, but of course that's what we're dealing with right now. Is an out of control booster. That is just what happens. I think about you. Didn't quite understand that question, Rich. I'm sorry. It will pass almost directly overhead of the snowy mountains. And yes, it will mainly be over the South Pacific for a lot of time. And once again, this is most probably what's going to happen with this booster during the course of this entire journey. Is it will most probably fall into the ocean somewhere. That has not been entirely the case during other reentry periods. One of them, stuff came down in the Maldives. Another one came down in the Philippines and other areas around that on the most recent. So, I mean, some of this stuff reached land. It just reached uninhabited land. But as you can see, this time it's passing over a lot of stuff that's heavily populated. So it is highly unlikely, but still possible that it could shower debris all over the damn place in an inhabited area, which is of course not something it's supposed to be doing. Yeah, it did land next to the Philippines. Actually, part of it impacted in the Philippines on uninhabited areas of the islands. It just didn't hit anybody's house and it didn't kill anybody, but that was just by pure luck, pure happenstance that it didn't happen. So yeah, crazy stuff indeed. So yeah, let's just hope. All we can do is hope. The odds are very much in our favor, but every time China does this, every time they experiment with the luck of the draw, who knows what the hell's going to happen? 143 kilometers and still dropping. So yeah, we'll see at what point it's going to hit its perigee on this particular orbit. And then we'll go from there. Yes, some SpaceX debris did indeed come down. Yes, I was live for the last time that this happened as well. This is something I think that's important. It's important that we tell everybody what's happening and just how irresponsible the People's Republic of China is being about their space program. They should be handling this the way everybody else does, but they're not. And hopefully nobody pays the price, but that is just something that we have to deal with every time this occurs. So in any event, it doesn't predict that the last crash down location. I can actually check that. Bear with me for just one moment. I have a couple of sources that I turn to but again, all this is hopelessly out of date. Let's see here. Most recent impact location somewhere off the coast of Australia. But once again, that was hours ago, and no doubt it has changed at this point. So, and really, no matter what we think, no matter what we predict, most probably we are going to end up with a different situation. Looks like nope, we don't have it frozen for that for a moment. I thought my screen was frozen. So yeah, that's the situation. Is we all it takes is a few minutes worth of uncertainty, a few minutes of it. We think it's going to crash here, instead it crashes here. For example, the first time one of these boosters came down, it came down. We thought it was going to come down in the Pacific. We even reported that it had come down in the Pacific off the coast of the United States, maybe 1,000 miles off or something along those lines. It didn't. It came down in the Indian Ocean. I mean, that's how big of a difference we're talking about here. Just and if you're talking about a piece of debris circling the Earth once every 90 minutes, then a few minutes one way or the other is going to mean hundreds, if not thousands, of kilometers worth of uncertainty. So we really just don't know. 143 kilometers and still dropping. So it's still up. It's starting to go back up. It looks like 140. Yep. All right. It just hit its perigee at just over 143 kilometers. Just hit perigee. So now it's starting its ascent and heading back towards apogee. Yeah, I think some people had found some chunks of Skylab way back in the 70s when they came down. Yes, we've made do some bingo here. Let's do some Chinese booster rocket or booster bingo. There we go. CBB, Chinese booster bingo. So yeah, given where it just came down on its perigee, I would say that there's a strong possibility that it's going to re-enter, somewhere maybe close to where it re-entered the first time, not the last time, but the first time. That is to say, maybe in the Indian Ocean, maybe somewhere around the area of Malaysia and Singapore. And once again, look at how close it is to Singapore. And Singapore is a very densely populated city. Any debris comes down over Singapore, it's going to hit something. It's going to hit somebody's house. It's going to hit, it may cause injuries or deaths. Highly unlikely. Once again, I want to re-emphasize, this most probably will not hurt anyone. But that's just a crapshoot. It's kind of like taking a random shot in the dark from your back porch with a gun. Probably you're not going to hit anybody, but you might. Keeping my throat dry. Talking about my namesake in the U.S. So let's keep this going here. Once again, yes, Australia definitely in the firing line. 5 minutes difference would be the difference between Mexico City and the Georgia and North and South Carolina borders. Very true indeed. And yeah, as opposed to China's space garbage, Skylab was unplanned. That is also very true. This Skylab crash is a matter of a mistake, of an error, and it came down when we didn't expect it to, that sort of thing. So that was all just, random occurrence, and especially at a time when we didn't understand these things as well as we understand them now. Graham, thank you so much for throwing in the 20 quid. Really do appreciate that. That is what allows me to bring the content that I do to you. Thanks again. It really makes a huge difference to me. And I'll tell you guys, I'm bringing you some really great content as well, especially, as I said, on Tuesday, or not Tuesday, the 8th. Yeah, that is Tuesday, isn't it? The 8th, there's a big event at Spaceport Cornwall. Thank you so much, Brent. Really do appreciate that. I'll answer your question. $8 Australian dollars. Do you know a lot about the booster? Pretty trivial to fix this with cold gas thrusters or something. Yeah, I mean, that's all you'd have to do. That is all you'd have to do. But that's the only purpose this stage serves is to push a heavy payload all the way out to low Earth orbit. out to rendezvous with the space station. And once again, this is something that just really, really pisses me off about this situation is the fact that we should be focusing on what China is going to be accomplishing with this space station. They can accomplish amazing things with microgravity research in terms of new types of alloys and materials that we can't make on this planet, in terms of 3D printing organs, so we no longer need organ banks. So many things that we can do on a space station, like the ones the Chinese have. But guess what? That's not what the world's thinking about right now. Instead, they're thinking about, China's garbage coming crashing down on their heads. It's bad for their publicity, amongst many other things. Why? Why? And once again, it just emphasizes that they just don't care. They don't seem to care what the world thinks of them. They don't seem to care about people's perception of them. And I'm not talking about the Chinese people. I'm talking about the Chinese government. Chinese people are great, very hardworking, industrious people who accomplish amazing things. I'm talking about their government, and it's just reprehensible. Reprehensible. The Spaceport Cornwall launch. Yes, Jared, I will be seeing that happen. I will be covering it live as it occurs. So yes, heading over Australia right now. Jake, heads up. But at the same time, fortunately, it still seems to be in an ascent pattern right now, which is a good thing. So it recently reached its perigee and now ascending again. But anything could happen. And you're right, Shade Tree, incredibly reckless. Indeed. So, and that is actually the best way to describe this as being incredibly reckless. And once again, not caring. They don't even make a statement about it, aside from just maybe a casual, oh, yeah, we do this all the time. Nothing ever happens. Yeah, when Skylab hit Birth, yeah, that was an interesting time. I have to admit, as a kid, I watched 60 Minutes when they started to report on the fact that it was going to be happening, and boy, the media made that very scary. They made that sound kind of frightening, actually. And of course, it wasn't nearly as scary as everybody was saying, but I was just a little kid at that time. Look out, it's headed for Tasmania. Yes. Heads up, Marcus House. Sorry, I have to keep my throat lubricated. It falls in Madrid. I'm gonna die. Yeah, I would say, even if it did fall in Madrid, the odds would be very much in your favor. Yeah, kind of like playing a Kerbal with real lives. Very true indeed. 2 a.m. in Colorado. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. We have almost 170 people watching. That's just amazing indeed. Yeah, given everything that I say about the People's Republic of China, I really don't have much of an intention of ever paying a visit to them or watching any of their launches. You can't really watch any of their launches anyway. Yeah, look out, Marcus House. It's going to be passing over his head. And actually, we are approaching nightfall in Australia. So if and when it makes another pass, there'd be a good chance that people in Australia will be able to see it. Will they try to recover their booster at any time? Yes, they are working on reusability. One of which is a complete copy of Starship, by the way. It has a 30% chance of hitting land. Very true. And their luck will run out on them eventually. Do we know how much of the booster remained intact about last time? About 60%, 60 to 65%. So about, I don't know, 12 tons worth of garbage came crashing down on the planet, something along those lines. Yes, while eating a full English breakfast, I actually already had my full English breakfast up before I went on the line. Actually had an opportunity to do that. The place where I'm staying, they do have a very nice breakfast here, actually. So, staying close to London at the moment, but I'll be back in Airbnbs here soon. I'm going to be at a variety of places. I'm going to be in Wales here very soon to deal. Oh yes, and we'll need to make an adjustment to the map producer when you get an opportunity. We have to wait for NORAD to update us on that. But ASN, just when we get a chance, go ahead and move that. I have lost my voice communication with my producer, by the way. Very sorry about that. So, in any event, also to emphasize, Total Space Network is going to be in Cornwall, side by side with the BBC and other major news agencies. We'll have Nightfall coming to Australia fairly soon. China's space program, like a bad version of KSP. That very, very much true. And I guess I'll be hosting the Total Space broadcast, from what I understand. So up there we go. Thank you very much, ASN, for handling that for us. So as you can see, the March 5 booster now passing almost directly over the southeast coast of Australia. Fortunately, at an altitude of 151.53 kilometers, and yes, it will be passing over New Zealand. If we have any New Zealanders watching, any Kiwis, you'll be able to see this thing. If you want to run outside, you'll be able to check it out. And by the way, this is an open invitation to everybody. If you get a chance to see this passing overhead, please photograph it or film it, whatever, and post it on my Twitter, and I'll be happy to post what you send on a future video. So if you do get a chance to get a quick look at it and get a chance to film it, I'll do that. The audio seems to be a bit off, apparently. Not sure why that is. This headset may have some issues, not entirely certain. Checking again with my producer to see if there's any particular issue with the audio. I'll do our best, but fortunately we do have too much light on this pass. Very true. Nowhere in Australia are you really going to be able to see this. However, in New Zealand, it is an ideal place. Okay, so apparently audio seems all right for most people, so maybe might be an isolated issue. We'll see what we can do about that. Photo sounds like it's a challenge. Yes, indeed, it will be. Anyone think it will go for another full orbit? I do. I think it'll make it for another full orbit. We can't say for certain, but we will see what ends up happening as far as that's concerned. Still checking my sources to see if we have any updates on what the circumstances are. Nothing new. And keep in mind, a lot of these sources are actually in the US, and some of these people may not be awake to report on this. So, right now, still headed towards New Zealand, but no updates in terms of where it's likely to impact. And once again, that's all nonsense. It's not. We could never really tell exactly where this thing is going to impact until it actually happens. So let's see. Is there background noise? I'll try. I mean, it's coming. This. So they plan to ramp up to roughly 4 of these a year, do they? Oh boy, that's great fun. Yeah, that is a problem, obviously, with hotel internet. We oftentimes have issues with that situation. Yeah, that's true. Our first stream had no audio at all. We had virtually nothing, actually. I am definitely a tech novice. There's no question about that. So that could be contributing. But in any event, I did get us connected to a much better internet server than we were on originally. That does help to a degree. Booster increasing in altitude, of course, as it heads towards apogee. Watching cricket, that's a good thing. That's a good thing indeed. So yeah, I'm not seeing any updates whatsoever from my sources. But once again, these are American sources, so we really don't know. And yeah, we shouldn't see much of a decrease in velocity until when it actually goes into a full-scale reentry and really hits the atmosphere hard. Right now, it's just in the upper layers of the atmosphere, very, very, very little up there, but just enough to reduce its speed. Yeah, 4 times a year in this mess. Yeah, there will be an international incident if this keeps up. Once again, guys, I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Almost over 170 people. Please like, please subscribe, please subscribe. Trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. Over 1,000 people have subscribed over the last 2.5 days. Huge, huge growth this channel has suddenly gone through. Really do appreciate that. Welcome to the new subscribers. Definitely would be thrilled to have more of you join us, trying to get to that 100K. And I've got something special ready for you guys, by the way. Special event planned for it when we hit that 100K. It will probably involve more Boeing and Blue Origin destruction, but I do have something special planned, so keep that in mind. All right. Let's go ahead and check on anything else that may be occurring right now. Sorry, just struggling with my Discord. For some reason, it's being very odd. Not quite understanding what the situation is with that. But Jimmy, thank you so much for your help. Really, really do appreciate that. Thank you so much for your generosity. Really nice of you. Definitely appreciate that. Let's see if I can trying to see if I can find my task manager, and then maybe I can do something about this Discord situation. Doing more, again, doing a very risky thing by messing around with my tech. Okay, just did that. Let's see if we can bring this back up. All right, Discord coming back up. Let's see if I can reconnect with my producer. That would all be very handy if we could do that. Attempting to reconnect now. There we go. Hello. Checking in with my producer at the moment. So I am back on just FYI. And once again, I'm kind of just talking to my producer here real quick. I'm finally back on Discord in case you want to join me. So thanks very much. And sadly, I can't hear you. Boy, I'll tell you. I know I messed something up today. Just want to make sure that everybody can see and hear me as I'm continuing to communicate with my producer. Once again, altitude is 163 kilometers. Trying to give you guys a better experience at the moment. So bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and send something over real quick and see if we can get something going here. All right. All right, producer, that's coming over here in just a minute. Bear with me. And once again, guys, just taking care of some technical matters at the moment to improve our communication, try to bring you guys a better experience currently. Thanks for hanging in there. All right. There you go. Once again, guys, thanks very much for your patience. So glad that we have a better audio at the moment. And once again, part of what I'm doing right now is just trying to open up communications with my producers so we can hear one another. We can still text each other, but that's about it. All right, so we'll find out what's going on with this situation here in a moment. In the meantime, we still have over 160 people on. Really do appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you very much for that. So, in any event, let's see here, less technical problems than Artemis. That's true. That's true. It's kind of hard to get all the technical problems that Artemis has. That's kind of nightmarish. And by the way, if you have any questions about anything else that's going on right now, I will be thrilled to answer them. Did we lose? Did we? Oh, I think we may have. Oh no, we just didn't drop off. I don't think so. Just a second here. Doing a million different things at once, so bear with us. That's part of this wonderful, fun process, isn't it? Current location of the booster, I don't believe that it has. But you're right. Somebody mentioned that it has vanished from our view. We're updating it. There we go. There we go. We had to just do a quick update, and the reason producer didn't keep up with that is because he was busy fixing my problems and taking care of my ineptitude. So in any event, but we've got that updated, so we're good to go there. And yes, I am still in the United Kingdom. I'm actually just outside of London. So nothing visual from New Zealand, really. Something passed overhead, definitely, but I mean, maybe some cloud cover or something. But as low as it is, if it didn't pass directly over your head, then there's a good possibility that you wouldn't have seen it. Given that the altitude is only 167 kilometers, it's very likely that you would not have seen it. So, anyway, JAXA won't make China mad because they're deeply bound with one another. Yes, that is true. JAXA has really great concepts. Yeah, Benjamin, you're right. I love a lot of what JAXA is doing. They've got some very exciting stuff happening right now. All including the possibility of launching Dream Chaser. Their newest rocket is going to have a fairing capable of handling Dream Chaser. So it's entirely possible the Japanese Space Agency could have a manned program of their own utilizing Dream Chaser. And this applies to Europe. It applies to a variety of different people. So that gets very exciting indeed. Artemis trying to beat Starship into space. It could happen if they actually launch in mid-November. Yeah, right. But if they actually happen to do that, then they will beat Starship into orbit. I'm pretty certain that Starship will not be launching. I don't think it's even going to happen in December. I know NASA's expecting that possibility. NASA said something about that. That I think NASA needs to lay off the happy juice. I don't think the Starship's launching in December. I think that is highly, highly unlikely. But who knows? I've been wrong before, so it could indeed be the case. But we still don't even have a full wet rehearsal yet. We're still doing cryo-proof tests. There are so many things that still need to be done to that ship to get it into orbit. I mean, we still haven't started a really ambitious static fire campaign, only just a few engines. So it's just got a ways to go. And, once again, this isn't saying that SpaceX is behind or anything like this. This is an incredibly complicated rocket. This is an incredibly powerful rocket. So they definitely need the case. Why does Dream Chaser need a fairing? It actually doesn't if it's manned. You actually don't want a fairing if it's manned, but it's more aerodynamic if you put it inside a fairing. That's one feature anyway. It improves its aerodynamic qualities. Excuse me, especially during an ascent. Plus, you would like to protect the ship during an ascent. I mean, there are reasons to put anything into a fairing. But in any event, so Jack said China in bed with each other. I'd say not completely. I mean, Japan and China are also rivals, adversaries. So definitely not on a very good terms with one another. So I would say that Jax is not completely bad with China. They're just Japan can't afford to aggravate China too much because they're right there. And they represent a much, much greater threat than they ever have done in the past. It's easier to believe in a December launch and you remember that they're not trying to recover the thing, and thus integrity is paramount. That's true, but I think they are trying to re-enter it. I mean, that is one thing. This is not going to be a successful orbital test unless they at least try to re-enter, try to get it to land. They need to at least attempt that in order, because I mean that's the entire point of Starship, and that's what makes Starship affordable, and that's what makes Starship such a revolutionary concept. I mean, yeah, if you can land the first stage, that definitely makes a big difference, and it will reduce cost, etc. But the only thing that makes Starship the truly revolutionary, game-changing ship that it's promising to be is if you can reuse it. And I'm not saying they have any chance of reusing it on the first attempt or the first few attempts, but they should at least try. They should try to re-enter and see if they can, bring it down more or less vertically. So it's not even going to be hitting a landing pad or anything, but they should at least simulate a landing just to see if they can try to pull that off. Because and Elon, he's been all over that. Reusability is the key thing that he emphasizes about Starship all the time. We need reusability, and I couldn't agree with him more. This is the key to the long-term success of Starship is reusability. Yeah, I mean you can put 100 tons in orbit, without and lose the orbiter and still have impressive performance as a result, but nevertheless doesn't really help. ASN, I still can't hear you. I don't know what the deal is with that. Um, but I mean, it's not critical. But if you need to communicate with me, feel free to type it in. Oh, great. So the headset is broken. Okay, hang on. Just sending over. We're dealing with more technical stuff. Bear with me. Boy, that happened fast. No time at all. We are sending your stuff over to the producer again. God, how could this headset have run into problems this fast? You have another microphone if need be. Bear with me here. Okay, there's the first. Producer's going to be leaving here shortly as well, so we could encounter further problems. Hopefully not. There you go. We'll give it one more try. I can't believe that we had problems with this headset so quickly. I only just bought the bloody thing. Working on getting results out of this. Check good. Check good. Check. Check. Okay. Did that improve things at all? Okay, so what is the current situation? Because I don't know what I sound like. Check good. Check good. I can hear you just fine. We're communicating, just so everybody knows, I'm communicating with my producer. All right, so apparently I can be heard on YouTube just fine. All right. So no real issues as far as that's concerned. Once again, I do. Why does the altitude of the booster keep going up? Now, what happens is to give a quick explanation for those of you who just tuned in, the orbits are always an ellipse, an elliptical shape rather than a circle. So as a result, you're going to have periods of time where the booster will increase in altitude and then go back down to its perigee, to its closest approach, then back up to apogee, and then back down to perigee. So you're going to have a period of time, 50% of the time, where you have the booster increasing in altitude. Currently, it's still in that process at 174.92, although it's very likely going to decrease in altitude here very soon. By the way, during a period of time, we are going to not have a producer here. We might want to increase the size of the screen if you're going to be gone for 40 minutes. That only just occurred to me. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to see the location of the booster. I don't know if that can be done, but we might want to increase the size to where we have the whole globe on the screen, or at least a good portion of it. Um, but that is, and once again, I don't even know if producer is still here or not. It's possible that he isn't. Um, just asking to see if we can get the full map before he leaves. Looks like we're getting it. We're getting it. Source from the data is from NORAD. This is that's so it's live stream tracking. But unfortunately, it kind of closes in over, or rather, zooms in on one particular area of the globe. So when the booster flies out of that region, then we're not going to see it quite as well. But right now, we've got work being done by our producer to try to give us something a little bit better than that during the 40-minute time frame that he's going to be away taking care of his responsibilities of getting his kid to school. There we go. There we go. That will cover it at least for the time that you're going to be gone, ASN. So for this particular orbit, it will be covered. So that's perfect. By the time you get back, we'll be able to handle it from there. That'll keep it on screen for 40 minutes. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, we'll go ahead and keep patching things together. In the meantime, yeah, I appreciate everybody's patience. So yeah, we've got, so as you can see now, we have the globe. That's a good thing indeed. 166 people still watching. Thank you very much for doing that through all of this technical stuff we've been going through, most of which is caused by me and my garbage equipment and the fact that I don't know how to run a lot of it properly. I'm not a media technician, never have been. The fact that I'm able to run a YouTube channel is kind of miraculous. Well, it's miraculous because I've got very, very good help in Yorkshire from ASN. That's why I'm able to do it, not because of anything I do, that's for sure. Booster still increasing in altitude to over 176 kilometers, approaching apogee. And it's nighttime, and it should be passing over South and Central America. So that should be interesting for any of you in that region. I think that could be an interesting thing to watch. So yeah, passing just over Venezuela. Um, Appears to be, and also Panama here very soon. Anybody who happens to be watching from South America, you may be able to see it. Kind of hard to say for certain. And by the way, if you're wondering where it's going to be going eventually, the update from NORAD will not be coming up until we get through the majority of this particular orbit. By the time it does that, producer will be back and he'll update the map for us. Really do appreciate again everybody tuning in. Feel free to ask me whatever questions you like. Doesn't have to be restricted to this particular situation, but I'd be more than happy to talk to you guys about what's going on. Once again, I am just outside of London in a city or town called Slough, Slough. Wow, Graham, thank you so much for the 20 quid. Yeah, board breakfast with that coffee. This is going to take some time yet. Yeah, we kind of went online to within the window of the kind of with the window of error, or rather the margin of error that was given for this broadcast, or rather for this particular reentry. We, of course, they don't know for certain as to when and where the reentry is going to be taking place, but we're doing our best to get a better idea of it as the booster continues to descend. So we went online when things were looking more likely to be within that window of reentry. Although there were some channels that went live 24 hours ago. So in any event, I've had people covering it for a particular time. Virgin orbit. I'll know on Tuesday. Oh dear. Now I hope you guys can see me because I can't see myself, but I'm not sure what caused that particular issue. But in any event, that may just be something on my end, so don't worry about that. That may be just Discord causing that situation. So yeah, on Tuesday, on the 8th, we will know what's going on. On the 8th, I will be at a major media event for Virgin Orbit and Spaceport Cornwall, and we'll know what's going on the 8th. I'm very excited about that. By the way, I just received an invitation to that event. There's going to be all the major players involved with that. So I am crazy excited, let me tell you, crazy excited about attending that. And I think we should find out exactly when the launch will be taking place. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you guys can see me because I cannot see myself. It went all granular on me, but that's, I think, a function of Discord more than anything else. But at 177 kilometers, thank you very much. Appreciate the update. So it has not reached apogee yet, is my understanding of the situation. Let me see here. I may be able to, if I can't pull myself up on Discord, I'll bet I can pull myself up some other way. You see, now that my producer isn't here, now I can I'll go ahead and start monkeying around with this stuff, do the sorts of things that would give him a heart attack, and probably screw up the entire stream. But in any event, I'll do my best not to do that. I'm joking, by the way. What I'm doing right now could not possibly mess up the stream. You know, he's made it pretty much idiot-proof, which is a good thing. I definitely need an idiot-proof system. So pulling up so I can keep track of what's going on since the Discord image went down. There we go. And here we are. Now I can see myself. Okay. So yeah, we are at 177.74 kilometers. It still seems to be. Oh, hello, Gilbert. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Gilbert showed up at it was kind of a meetup, I guess. We just happened to run into each other at the Paris the space conference that took place in Paris. Really, a really nice young guy. And we had some coffee, I guess a beer or two together, that sort of thing. In Paris, really awesome experience, and learned a lot about France during our meeting. It was really a really cool thing. A lot about French culture, French politics, a lot of neat stuff that I didn't know prior to that. So that was very cool indeed. All right, so let's see here. Apogee's at 222 kilometers. So I say, you know what? I don't think it's going to get to that kind of apogee. Um, we'll see, but we've almost hit a complete orbit. I'd be surprised if it gets up that high, but maybe it will. I guess we'll see what ends up happening. New Zealand, yes, if you keep your eyes open, as it passes over again, it's possible that you will be able to see it pass overhead. And indeed, it may re-enter where you are. That is a possibility. But yeah, that meeting in Paris was fantastic. Really did enjoy it. So looks like we have a couple of viewers in the New Zealand area. Well, thanks very much for tuning in. By the way, we have 167 people currently watching. Please like, please subscribe. And once again, thanks so much to everybody who's been providing your generous support to the channel. It's been fantastic, and this is really what's made all of this possible. The fact that I am able to report on everything that's happening here in Europe, the fact that I'm going to be able to go to this major media event at Spaceport Cornwall on Tuesday. It's all you guys. I would have had to come home by now if it wasn't for your support. So really, really do appreciate it. So again, Long March booster passing over South America right now. It's like Venezuela area. So we'll see what ends up with that. And again, once again, very unlikely that this thing will land on anybody's head, but it's possible. It is possible. So we need to just keep in mind how irresponsible this whole thing was. It is avoidable. Well, hello, Craig. Thanks for joining from Tasmania. I really do appreciate you doing that. And I guess you're kind of in the line of fire as well. We'll see what happens on the next orbit. But yeah, the next orbit does appear to be taking the booster south of Australia again. Doesn't look good. We'll put it that way. At least in terms of Tasmania possibly being in the line of fire. But once again, odds are many, many, many billions to one that it would hit anybody in particular who's watching this live stream. What you're more likely to do if you're in a nighttime area is to see something very interesting. It will look like a flashing light passing overhead, and the reason for that is the booster is tumbling as it's affected by our atmosphere. And as the sun glints off of the booster, as it tumbles, it will look like a big flashing light overhead. So yeah, you should be able to see it if you are right underneath it or very close to being right underneath it. So keep your eyes open. Watch the skies, especially if you are in the nightfall area. Rocket Lab launch and catch today. As far as I've heard, Daniel, yes, that is supposed to be happening, and I really hope that Rocket Lab is successful this time. Launch and catch will reduce the cost of Rocket Lab sending anything to orbit, reduce cost per kilogram, all of that. Very dramatically. Reusability is always a very positive thing. So yeah, that's a good thing indeed. Yeah, just I just posted Jared's thing, so we'll see what ends up happening here with my whole 100K challenge. Once again, most of you probably know what the 100K challenge is, but first of all, got to get to 100,000 subscribers. Number two, if Starship carries out a successful orbital test before Vulcan Centaur can deliver Peregrine to the moon, I will get SpaceX fanboy tattooed on my butt. That's how confident I am that Vulcan is going to achieve its objectives before Starship does, simply because I believe that a rocket with 2 engines can get to orbit before a rocket with 33 engines. Now, of course, the only reason this is a race is because the company producing the 2 engines is Blue Origin. That's what makes this into a race. It shouldn't be a race at all. Vulcan should have gone to orbit a long time ago. SSTU is predicting that there won't be another orbit. Thank you, Bogey. Really do appreciate that. There will not be another orbit. The current reentry time is imminent. We are going to have an impact within the next 9 minutes. 9 minutes, plus or minus 31, which means maximum we have 40 minutes worth of flight time left on this thing. Minimum, this thing could be crashing at any moment. So everybody stay active. I'm once again going back to my usual sources. The problem is my usual sources are American, and they seem to be just sleeping through this. Not sure why. They usually keep very good track of all this stuff, but they're not. That's weird. I'm checking with the Aerospace Corporation as well. I like them too. Again, nothing. Boy, that's kind of frustrating. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and go to EUSST. There we are. So yeah, we're looking at a re-entry of 8:50 in the morning. That's UK time, plus or minus 31 minutes. So we're looking at it could happen at any time, and most probably the re-entry will take place. The re-entry will take place. Um, will take place somewhere. Boy, I'll tell you, land looks likely, unless it hits the Atlantic. That's possible. If it hits the Atlantic, then we're okay. But I don't think this thing's going to make it to the Pacific. It looks far more likely that this thing will either hit the Atlantic or it's going to come down over land somewhere, possibly somewhere over Spain or Portugal, possibly Italy, possibly Cyprus or Turkey, possibly Saudi Arabia. All of these are within the realm of possibility on the current orbital trajectory. Current orbit is at 179.95 kilometers, which means odds are when it comes back down to the current perigee on the current orbit, that is when it is going to re-enter. So right now the altitude looks like, no, it's not quite at apogee yet. But I think it's going to be at apogee here very, very shortly. And then it should begin its descent. Once it begins its descent, at least according to the most recent predictions, this is it. This is the moment when it's going to happen. So in any event, looks like we have... looks like producer is back. Thank you very much for joining us. If we could get a close-up of its current location, producer, when we get a moment. That would be great, so that we can have a look at get a close up look as this thing descends towards reentry. Um, I think that's going to be. I think that'll be an interesting thing for us to watch. Um, but I'll tell you, this once again is getting very, very close to happening, and all we can do is just hope. Just hope that nothing unpleasant is going to happen. We'll see. We shall see what ends up happening. Okay, so right now, still tracking it. And as I say, just 3 to 4 minutes before we're back in studio is what our producer just told us. So right now, we're still just tracking what is current from kind of a considerable distance right now, safely over the Atlantic. And it is currently, however, reaching apogee. So that is, we can expect it to stay in that position before. And boy, I'll tell you, it looks like it's about to start descending. Maintaining a very steady altitude at the moment. And once the numbers start looking strange, once it starts looking unusual, then it's possible that it's already down. I'm going to go ahead and check real quick on EUSST to see what their situation is. See if they have reported that. See if they report that it's down yet. Nothing yet. Looks like it's starting a descent. Let's have a quick look again at the altitude. Boy, that's interesting. Altitude. There we go. We're starting a descent. It looks like it just reached apogee, and now it's going to begin its descent. So we'll see what ends up happening now. But according to EUSST, we are. It is not going to survive another orbit. It's not going to make it through another orbit. So it is possible that it may get across the Atlantic, and then once it does that, the odds of it hitting water are low. The Mediterranean is the only area that might hit. Of course, that's a big ocean, big sea, but nevertheless, there's a lot of land in between there. So anyone in that particular area along the orbital path, keep your eyes open, guys. Be ready. You never know what's going to happen here. But it's beginning its descent, and the areas that are currently on in the danger zone are Spain, Italy, Cyprus, Turkey, Israel, Saudi Arabia. Those are the areas that are the most likely to be in danger when it comes down. So those are the areas to keep your eyes open. All right, producers almost back home. We'll get a more close-up look of what's going on currently. Once again, thanks everybody for joining. We have almost 250 people watching. Once again, to reiterate, re-entry of the Long March 5 booster is imminent. It just crossed over into daylight. And it will be re-entering very, very soon. EUSST projects that it will survive another orbit and that it will be re-entering in minutes. And by re-entering, it's already re-entering, but we're talking about a burn-up within minutes. It is currently over the Atlantic. This would be a perfect time for it to start burning up and crash, but given its current altitude, that's kind of unlikely. When it approaches its perigee, that's when, of course, it's more likely to start burning up. And that's going to be happening at any moment now. Again, this is, we're starting to, yes, we are going to be zooming on that, just so you know. We just got it. We just did a zoom in. as my producer was away taking his kid to school. So there we go. We're starting to get it right now. We just saw that for a moment. We're getting that locked in. But yeah, it will not survive another orbit. That is what the information we are receiving. So it will be crashing very soon. And its path takes it over some heavily populated areas, but over some areas that are not in any kind of danger also. So, it's hard to say for certain. All right, we're still trying to get that. Once again, our producer working at the last moment without really an opportunity to get prepared for any of this stuff because it all happened far, far sooner than any of us really anticipated. So putting a Herculean effort into getting this ready, getting something for us to have a look at. As you can see, still safely out over the North Atlantic currently, but it won't be for long. It's only going to be out there for minutes. Current altitude is 179 kilometers or so and still dropping. And if it isn't going to make it through another orbit, then you're going to see those numbers start to plunge dramatically. In addition to that, you're also going to see the numbers start doing strange things. For example, if all of a sudden it drops down to what it appears to be like perigee, and then it starts immediately going up again, almost as if it suddenly hit perigee and started going back up, that means that it probably has already crashed. I experienced that the last time, where it almost looked like that it was skimming off the atmosphere and going up and down and up and down. That's because we no longer had a good track on it anymore, and it just crashed. So as you can see now, definitely descending. Still seems to be kind of a slow and steady descent, but in any event, yeah, we're definitely the Corsica, Sardinia area, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Sicily. All of these are definitely on the firing line over the course of the next few minutes. Highly unlikely that it would burn up at that point in its orbit, but once again, you can't say for certain. This thing is uncontrolled and very difficult to predict. So you can't say for certain as to what's going to happen. About an uncontrolled entry of a booster even happened. To begin with, Matt, to answer your question, this is the third time the Chinese have done this. They used the second stage to push. The modules for this space station, for the Chinese space station, are colossal, very, very big, so very heavy, and so therefore it takes all the fuel from the second stage in order to push it up there, and then the second stage is still sitting up in low Earth orbit and begins a orbital decay. There are ways to avoid this. There are ways to modify a second stage so you don't have to mess with this. But unfortunately, well, not just unfortunately, irresponsibly, the Chinese don't bother putting those sorts of features into their rockets. So as a result, every time this happens, we have an uncontrolled reentry of something that weighs about 20 tons. And there's a good chance that at least 8 to 10 tons of it, if not more, are going to survive the reentry and go get spread over a wide area. Now, in the past, all of this has happened in uninhabited regions of the world. It's happened in areas that don't have much of the way of populations, the Maldives Islands, some of the less populated islands of the Philippines. This time, it's heading directly over Europe, and we will see what ends up happening here. Hopefully, nothing bad. It's heading over northern Spain, um, which of course, that there's certainly people who live there. So there's that definitely. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I have to admit, it feels a little stressful right now, because if this does cause any injuries or any damage, especially in a NATO country, this will be a major diplomatic incident. And China will need to respond to this. If they don't respond very favorably, things could be bad. So let's hope. Let's hope that this doesn't happen. Let's hope it goes into the ocean again. But again, the People's Republic of China is rolling the dice, playing Russian roulette with the lives of most people on the planet. Odds are they'll be fine, but who knows? ETA seems about 15 minutes or so. Yeah, as you can see, the descent, it's going down really, really fast. We got a larger perspective. Thank you very much, ASN. We've got a larger perspective of its overall orbit. As you can see, it is also heading towards one of the most unstable areas of the world, heading straight for Syria and Israel and Lebanon. Um, that would not be a nice place for stuff to start coming down, especially since the vast majority of the people in these countries have no idea that something is heading in their direction. When stuff starts falling out of the skies in these countries, usually that means some sort of missile attack or some sort of drone attack or something like that. They don't know that this is occurring. Um, and most people in the world don't know that this is actually happening. If debris were to start raining down in that sensitive area of the world, that wouldn't be cool either. Once again, odds of that happening really, really low. But the fact that we even have to think about it is unacceptable. We shouldn't have to worry about that at all. By the way, you see the little red dot up there? That's where our producer is in his New York. So that's where he's reporting for. To be fair, the U.S. did the same thing back in 1973 when launching Skylab. Saturn V second stage used for final orbital injector couldn't do a controlled deorbit. Jordan, you're right about that. That is true. That was a long time ago, though. We've learned a lot about deorbiting rockets since then, and China definitely has the ability to do something to avoid these issues, and they're just choosing to do nothing. As you can see, the rate of descent is accelerating. And to re-emphasize, this is the last orbit of this booster. This is it. We have 300 people watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, please subscribe. Deeply appreciate all the help I've been getting on this trip. You guys are fantastic, wonderful viewers. So the moment that we were hoping for to where this thing might come down in the North Atlantic, that moment has come and gone. Now it is passing over inhabited areas of Europe, about to head through Portugal and Spain, and careening out of control down into the atmosphere. Now it is highly unlikely to burn up over Spain, but it could. Everybody, keep your eyes open. You see flaming wreckage in the sky, and it looks like it's anywhere near you. It might be good to get down into your basement just to be safe. It is a very noticeable thing when this burns up. So, in any event, along the orbital track, Spain, Italy, Israel, Saudi Arabia, yeah, it is indeed getting serious. You're right about that, Kiwi. It is. This is the moment. This is the moment where things get dangerous, where things could happen. And that's something we're updating the map right now again to reflect the projected path. This thing's going to be burning up and reentry. How big is it? It's 20 tons. It's huge. Now, a good chunk of this will burn up in the atmosphere, but at least 8 to 10 tons of it will not. And it's not like 8 to 10 tons is going to come thumping down in one place. Instead, it's going to be all kinds of stuff spread over a wide area. So, yeah, not cool. Not cool at all. Passing directly over Spain right now and still descending. Once again, I don't think it's going to burn up over Spain. That seems unlikely. Um, but now heading for Sardinia, Corsica. Once again, they finally burned up in the 120-kilometer range or so. But once again, what we're seeing right now, these numbers, we shouldn't take them as completely accurate. Once it starts actually in its burn-up phase, a lot of the data that we get, it's very difficult to track these things once it gets into its final orbit. So we should not regard the numbers we're looking at right now as the gospel truth. We just just posted a picture of a past booster that was a producer who did that for us. Thank you very much. We're checking once again with EUSST for any new information. Again, we're just checking with any other sources that I have at my disposal, just to see if they're giving us any kind of new information. Nothing. And then let me check the Aerospace Corporation real quick. Let's just see if they've got anything new. No, nothing. So again, our best source right now is EUSST. I've got three different sources that I turn to, but two of them are American and seem to be nice and sound asleep. So we're definitely within the reentry phase right now, and it is passing, as you can see, over the Mediterranean, over Corsica and Sardinia, heading for Italy. After that, for Greece, and then after that, Cyprus and Israel, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, those areas, and then Saudi Arabia. And of course, Saudi Arabia, the vast majority of it is vast empty desert. So if it were to burn up at that point, hopefully nothing would happen. But we shall see. I mean, we can't say for certain. Once again, really do appreciate everybody everybody tuning in. Again, the rate of descent is now just accelerating at a fever pitch. This is once again, to reemphasize for everybody watching, this is the final orbit. This is it. It most probably will not make it through another orbit, according to EUSST. This is the end of it. And even if we see it apparently get to Perigee and then start going back up, we should not necessarily trust that data. It could very well have burned up, and we just lost our ability to track it. But as you can see, yeah, it is plunging at a very rapid pace right now. So yeah, it's burning through the kilometers like crazy. I would say that there is a very distinct possibility that we are going to have impact somewhere in the area of Italy, Greece, or something along those lines, given how fast we're seeing those numbers drop. I mean, look at that thing go. My God, that thing is descending fast. Yeah, and we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, that is this is not cool. This is not cool. It's definitely it looks like the possibility of it burning up over an inhabited area has become more likely than any of the others that I've tracked, any of the others I've kept up with. Now, hopefully, if it does manage to make it past all of this area, if it does manage to get past, Greece and Israel, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia, then we should be in the clear. This thing will crash into the Indian Ocean, and there won't be any problems whatsoever. Well, at least yeah, it probably won't make it to Australia. That's right. Madrid and Barcelona airspace is closed at the moment due to Chinese rocket falling from space. Thank you for that update, Daniel. Yeah, this is definitely not a cool thing. Not pleasant at all what we have going on right now. We make our jokes about bingo and where it might hit and that sort of thing, but this is the time when these things become very real. When all the theories and all the talk about the dangers of space debris to people on the planet, it starts becoming less talk and less numbers and more reality. Passing over Greece. At this point, Turkey is most probably not in danger, although Cyprus is. So yeah, it should pass south of Turkey, here as we can tell right now. Again, the descent, it is just coming down really, really fast. So, and as once again to reemphasize, it will not survive another orbit. At least that's what we're hearing. And yeah, I know I don't have very good audio. I apologize for that. Um, Doing our best, but I've got a broken headset here, and there's not much I can do to correct the issue before this happens. So I do appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. We have almost 350 people on. Yeah, I would need to be taken offline for a considerable period of time in order to fix this problem. At this point, there's nothing we can do. At this point, we're just going to hang in there. Once again, I apologize for the situation, and I hope you guys can hear me, kind of at least. And yeah, boy, it is coming down. It's coming down very, very quickly. So heading out, as I say, over the Aegean. For all we know, it could already be burning up right now. We can't say for certain. Um, so this during these orbits, that's when things start to become uncertain. That's when things become uh, when we really don't know, where the numbers we see on these trackers may not reflect reality. Instead, if we've got a booster that may already be burning up, pieces of it may already be descending towards the ground. We don't know until we start getting reports on the ground of a burnup. So I am checking information right now to see if we're getting anything new. Let me see here. I'm checking March. Let's see if there's any other sources, any reports of anything burning up. It's in the middle of its reentry. All I know is that everything is saying that it's in its last on its last orbit. It's about to pass over Israel, Lebanon, Jordan. Again, a very unstable region of the world, and anytime anything plunges from the skies and begins falling in cities, that usually means that they're under attack. So not something that we would want to have happen there, since most people are not aware of the fact that they've got a Chinese booster flying over their heads at this very moment, and beginning a burnup process in the atmosphere. These people have no idea that that's about to happen, and that they have something dangerous swooping right over their heads right now, but they do, and that sucks. That's unacceptable, and yet that's what's happening right now. Not cool at all. So we this needs to be addressed. We just got to stop putting up with this. It is not acceptable at all for us to have this kind of nonsense going on in space flight. Space flight should be a positive thing that develops positive scientific breakthroughs for the good of mankind, not sending tons of flaming debris down on people's heads. Um, just unacceptable. Really frustrating sometimes to when these moments begin to approach, because it's not cool at all. Bruce, thank you. Really do. Thanks very much for what you just said. Definitely appreciate that. Um, so yeah, Kerbal blown Perigee. So we'll see what's happening here. Hopefully, it gets out over the Indian Ocean. Let's hope. So yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with that. But right now, of course, passing over Saudi Arabia, about to enter the domain of the Gulf states. If it gets there, if it gets that far, then most probably we are out of the woods. But we can't say for certain until we have reports that it's burned up and that it's down. Yep, NORAD is saying that it will make it to the Indian Ocean. That it'll crash in the Indian Ocean. Let's hope so. Let's hope that's where it ends up. But what we we do know is that it could be at any moment. And again, we can't predict these things, totally. We really can't. No matter what NORAD says, all it takes is a few minutes worth of extra time. If this thing manages to hang on for just a few more minutes, that means it will not hit the Indian Ocean. It will hit somewhere else entirely. So let's just, all we can do is hope. This descent is continuing, as you can see, very, very rapidly. But it is about to get out of, assuming it hasn't re-entered already, and let's hope it hasn't. Looks like, okay, we just got an update. Assuming that it hasn't re-entered already, or that it hasn't burned up already. Let's hope. Yeah, the thing that we don't know is 100 kilometers seems to be the magic altitude, but I'll tell you, the last time we did this, it burned up well over that. So it's we can't trust these numbers entirely. All we can do is use them as guidelines. Also, just keep an eye on where it is and hope. But it looks like that it's going to get out over the Indian Ocean before there's any further information. Yeah, reentry footage will probably be very unlikely if it gets out over the Indian Ocean, unless maybe somebody in Sri Lanka might see something, but that is unlikely. Over 360 people watching. Once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please please subscribe if you're currently tracking the upper stage of the Chinese Long March 5 that deployed the last module of the Chinese space station. It should be a very positive thing, a very happy thing in the history of spaceflight. Instead, we are once again tracking something very dangerous that is flying uncontrolled over our planet, and who knows where it's going to end up. It does seem that the Indian Ocean, rather, is the most likely location. And once again, we can't say that for certain. We cannot. So yeah, it should burn up at the carbon line. But once again, we don't. The numbers we're seeing are not always a complete reflection of reality, and we don't know. Sometimes I've seen these numbers do funny things during these reentry periods, especially on these last orbits, where it starts doing things that make no sense whatsoever. But it appears that it is going to safely get out over the Indian Ocean. Now the big question is, will it stay? Will it stay in orbit long enough to not get to Australia? Um, that is a big unknown. We'll see. That's all we can do is hope. Um, I would say odds are it's gonna definitely hit the Indian Ocean, and hard to say for certain. All right. Once again, still checking updates from as many sources as we can. Okay, we still have no reports of the rocket being down. My various sources are still not saying that it's down at this point. And it's continuing its descent very rapidly. So now it's out over the Indian Ocean. This is the point where we really want this thing to, burn up. This is what where we want it to happen. If it doesn't, then I would give it a very, very strong possibility of it hitting somewhere in Australia. Yeah, Maldives, very again, strong possibility that's where it hit the last time. So yeah, I mean, the only at least it does burn up on this orbit as it is supposed to. The only inhabited area that seems to be at risk right now is Australia. That should be about it. It will hit Perigee during this particular part of the orbit. At least we got through that danger zone of Spain, Corsica, Sardinia, and Italy, and Greece. And I mean, that was a lot. It appears that nothing happened there. We've got no reports of anything like that. Did it just start bouncing back up? No, no, it's still descending. Still descending. So we'll see what ends up happening. So anybody in Australia, keep your eyes open. Once again, we got almost 400 people watching. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you very much for your support. I'm going to be bringing you guys some great content here soon from Cornwall, big media event happening on Tuesday, and also talking about the defense of the planet from the threat of asteroids. I'm going to an observatory that's heavily involved in spotting these things. Get to do a tour of that place on Sunday. So that's all very positive. Let's talk about a couple of things that are a little bit more positive than what we have going on right now. There you go. Walker made a good comment there. Let's have a kangaroo kick it back to China. That's a great idea. Or a roo, as you call them there, right? You call them roos. I know that kangaroos are kind of, a lot of Australians regard them as being pests. So many of them, and then others feel differently. So I don't know. Um, so yeah, not exactly light. Very true. There's nothing light about this thing. We don't have debris this heavy re-entering the atmosphere much. It happens every now and then, but not that often. Once again, closing in on 400 people watching. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. Please like, please subscribe. Deeply appreciate everybody's support in making this happen. We've been in a heavy growth mode lately, by the way. Lots and lots of new subscribers. Welcome to all of you. Thanks so much for joining the Angry family. And we have a lot of new Angry advocates too, people who have hit that join button, or people who have joined on Patreon. You become part of a Discord server where we have lots of members who are heavily engaged in the spaceflight community, including people who work for various major organizations, spaceflight organizations such as ULA engineers, that sort of thing. So it's kind of a cool little community, and you can join for $3 a month. That's it. $3 a month, and you can be a part of that and also get access to early releases. Okay, enough self-promotion. Let's get refocused on what's happening here. It's the year of falling booster. That's filled with hydrazine. People are just in next to it. Yeah, that is true. It's full of toxic fluids, and definitely could be very dangerous. Um, so, yeah, to anybody who approaches it and doesn't know what the hell it is, and that's a possibility as well. Most people on the planet don't have the slightest idea what this thing is, and the fact that it may pop up in their backyard at some point. That they don't watch space flight news. Why should they know what's going on? Oh, absolutely. Thanks very much. Really do appreciate JST for all the nice things that are being said right now. Really do appreciate that a lot. The Wing Chang Space Launch Site to pause the reentry. Take your dog out for a walk. The perigee altitude of the last orbit, I forgot. I think it was in the low 140s, actually, though. But it's definitely heading there really, really soon. Oh, we have a pinned link that shows the perigee. Okay. Still descending. And once again, if we see it starting to bounce back up, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to survive another orbit. It may just mean that we've lost track of it and that it's burned up. So once again, we can't say for certain what's going on, but that there is a possibility. Would this be appropriate for anti-sat defense systems? No, unfortunately not. That question's already been asked. All it would do is create a big cloud of debris that would re-enter over a larger path and create even more garbage to fall over a wider area. So shooting it down with an anti-sat missile would not be the best solution. So it looks like we only have a small corner of Australia at risk here. Not as much of a region as it could be. Still, it doesn't mean anything great for people down in that area of Australia. All I can say is if you live down there, keep your eyes open. Something is most definitely headed your way, unless it manages to get down um, to the ocean. The website is NORAD's website. I don't know the exact source of it. That's something my producer got actually. But it is live tracking. This is where the booster is at this particular moment right now. Oh no. Okay, for a moment I thought it was okay. So it is still in descent. Perth, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Perth is indeed down in that area. Anybody in the Perth region, just keep your eyes open. Yeah, you may have, and it's still daylight there, so you're not going to see much of anything unless the burn up actually starts to take place. Um, so yeah, the altitude descent is slowing down, but that doesn't mean that it's going. It may appear to start going back up. That isn't necessarily what's happening. It could be at this point that we've lost track of it, and it may have started its burn up. So we definitely need to keep our eyes open. I think it does sweep back over New Zealand to answer your question, but I don't think it's going to get that far, to be honest. Once again, we're trying to keep track of what's happening here. Checking some of my sources again to see if we have anything new. Still nothing. Kind of annoying that the Aerospace Corporation that usually keeps a good eye on this stuff, they've just gone to sleep or something because it's not passing near the U.S. I don't know. All I can say is let's hope. Let's hope. Yeah, NORAD real time tracking. That's what we got right now. Yeah, we'll see what. Oh wow. Yeah, it's it seems to have hit Perigee. I don't know though. Honestly, I don't know if we can trust that. Um, it may make another orbit. I mean, these possibilities definitely exist. Or do we have an altitude anomaly? And we need to keep a close eye on what this thing is doing and a close eye on those numbers and see if indeed it is. Because the projection was that, yeah, it should have already burned up, but it hasn't. And it appears to be ascending, but once again, I don't know if we can trust these numbers. So I guess we'll see. Maybe it'll make another orbit. I still find that to be unlikely, but it could, or it may already be down. Can't say for certain. Still checking various sites. See if we've got any kind of update. But we have definitely hit that projected reentry window, and nothing has happened. But I'm not sure if that's actually the case. Still not seeing anything. Nothing. No, no information about it actually crashing. Sorry about the long hesitation there. Just wanted to see if we had any new information. It does appear to be ascending again. Once again, I'm just still not sure if I trust this. The information was that it wasn't going to survive another orbit. But maybe. I guess we'll find out. If it does, then we'll hang in there for another orbit. But I've got my doubts. Got my doubts. We've got a couple of posts from people who claim to have seen it in the New Zealand area. If indeed it does survive this particular pass and um, make another orbit, then you'll be able to see it in the southern reaches of Australia on the night side. Or at least there's a chance you'll be able to see it. Once again, the altitude is very, very low. But it does definitely still seem to be ascending. Once again, I just don't know if I trust it. Just because it tricked me the last time. The last time it showed that it was ascending, and it wasn't really. Um, it had already burned up. That's why I continue to see if anything's going to tell us if we're going to get any information. Now, the speed shouldn't be substantially, once the speed drops off to any great degree, that means it's hitting dense atmosphere. Um, so, we don't necessarily know whether or not that's going to be an issue. Or that should not reflect anything. The speed, if the speed drops off to a great degree, that means it's crashed. Um, that's when we're starting to lose track of any sort of reliable data on its location, its speed, its altitude, etc. But wow, it does seem to be ascending again. That is interesting. And if it is, it may make another orbit, and then we're going to need to project all of that. Hmm. Boy, I was really hoping that was going to be it, that it was going to hit the Indian Ocean. And the fact that it hasn't, that's cause for concern, because again, it's going to put a lot of inhabited areas. Well, you can see the next orbital track where that's going to be taking it. At the end of the orbital track, it's over areas like Somalia, Ethiopia, etc. Those are also densely populated regions. Um, so a whole lot of no fun. But I'm not getting any information to suggest that it has crashed. Again, this continues to be what I'm expecting. Yes, that is what's happening. Nope, still not getting anything. This is very odd. I guess that's what we get for having a booster re-entering during the when it's theoretically dead, or when it's nighttime in the U.S. All these tracking organizations lose interest. I don't know. what to make of this because usually you get more information than this from these various sites. Doggy kangaroos, damn, somebody said. I still love that. Joshua, thank you so much. Really do appreciate your support. Thanks so much. Gravitational dent in the southeast Indian Ocean. That could have just been Perigee. What longitude is apogee? Um, we don't. Let's say I think we have that pinned in the comments as to where apogee is. Um, but yeah, it definitely does seem to be in ascent mode at the moment. That being the case, what I think we are going to be doing, if it doesn't look like it's going to crash, is I'm going to take 5 minutes off. Just notifying I'm going to go ahead and send a text over to my producer just to confirm that. Still flying. Okay. I'm going to be taking 10 minutes. Hello, everyone. I have come back just to clarify any misunderstandings. If indeed there have been some airport shutdowns in Spain, this is not because the booster is ahead of where the track is. It is because of the projected path. Some experts are now projecting that this thing may make its way back to Spain before it re-enters. If that is okay, and it could also end up somewhere in the in it's around northern Africa as well, Algeria, Libya, that sort of thing. But if they have closed down airspace again over Spain, that's because they are projecting that this thing could re-enter again, or rather, could re-enter in the area around Spain again.
It looks like they have like the quest spot on the African continent. When I'm looking at flight radar, I'll send you it over in DMs now.
Okay. Apparently, we have some flight radar information where they've cleared out the airspace. This is, by the way, this is very. Okay, hang on. Yeah. Oh my God. My God. Okay. So let me give you guys a quick update, and then maybe we can post this on here. A huge region of North Africa, the entirety of North Africa, has been cleared of all air traffic. So we're talking Algeria, Libya, Niger, Chad, Mali, Mauritania, much of Egypt. All air traffic has been diverted around that area. They are now projecting a possibility of a re-entry in that particular region. This has not behaved as they anticipated. This has taken a turn most decidedly for the worst. So that being the case, this has not done what we thought it was going to do. The projection was a splashdown in the Indian Ocean. Once again, who knows? Sometimes we can't trust the data, but thus far, everything we're getting right now suggests that that it's going to survive another orbit, and that there's a strong possibility that it's going to come crashing down somewhere in North Africa. And as a result, the various agencies, aviation agencies, governmental agencies of all these countries have cleared all air traffic from North Africa. And again, so maybe if we can pin this to the chat or something along those lines, but this area is it's absolutely vast. It's just flight radar. I apologize. Flight radar. This whole region of North Africa, you can see that air traffic has just been completely diverted around it, and this is a big region of the world that now has had all air traffic completely diverted away from it. Again, the interpretation that we can gain from this is the fact that they're expecting this thing now to impact somewhere in North Africa, and that it could be a threat to commercial aviation. We had some issues with that before with Spain, and now it appears that it's happening with North Africa. Anyway, this is definitely different. Hopefully somebody, by the way, in New Zealand can spot this as it's passing overhead. I don't think it represents any threat to you, but you'd be able to see something flashing in the night sky as it tumbles. Although who knows what its rate of tumbling is either. This thing is behaving very strangely indeed. But it's made it past New Zealand, and now it's making its way back towards where we were before, heading back towards Europe, heading back towards heading back towards North America, although unlikely to do anything in North America. It appears that the greatest likelihood now appears to be North Africa. Again, this emphasizes the complete
you can go on Twitter with somebody.
the complete lack of predictability for these sorts of things. We really don't know what's happening. Once again, we can update right now. Checking on updates. Just to see if we have any sort of
Our tracking's gone off the coast of New Zealand.
we lost.
Never mind, we got it.
Okay, so we got it back. All right. So for a moment, we thought we may have lost it, but the tracking seems to have returned, and here it goes.
From K-pop, New Zealand, somebody said.
Yeah, and once again, at the altitude that it's at, unless it's directly overhead, it's unlikely that you would be able to see it. That is one problem. You can see it if it passes, directly over you, but at the very low altitude that it's currently at, New Zealand, of course, is a big place, big country, spread out over those islands, and as a result, it's possible that you would be able to see it unless it passed directly overhead, or unless it was burning up. So go for broke. I think he's real. I think he existed. Okay, and that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, the tracking map is kind of funky, and we got this the last time too. Just it's hard to determine exactly what this thing is going to do and where it's going to hit Apogee, where it's going to hit Perigee, and indeed whether or not it's crashed. So we'll see what the situation is with that. But March, once again, we're checking all of our various sources. I keep expecting this thing to see. Hold on. Just got an update 5 minutes ago. Oh, 27 seconds. Boy, we keep getting updates, but this can't be right. So it has crashed. Okay, all of a sudden let's see, altitude still is increasing on the numbers, but that may not be true. It's possible that you didn't see it in New Zealand because it already came down. God, I hope that's the case. We don't need any more of these. We don't need any more of this drama. That would be great if that is indeed the case. If this thing has come down, but we have no confirmation of that yet. You recall when it was passing over the Indian Ocean, I kept saying didn't know. Yeah. Samantha Lee just posted in Twitter this huge region of completely unoccupied airspace in North Africa, again in anticipation of the possibility of this thing crashing there. But then again, it seems likely that it should have crashed now, but it still hasn't, at least not officially. Still waiting for confirmation on that. And unfortunately, my usual sources aren't saying a thing about this. So come on, guys. I was up in the middle of the night to report on this thing the last time. Here Here are awesome sources of information. Still nothing.
I've got latest flight average coming through to your inbox now. It looks like it's North Africa.
Okay. All right. Just got an update from producer. Again, it appears that this thing is indeed still flying. That even though we shouldn't, even though it should have crashed on its last orbit, it does not appear to have done so. And that being the case, it's still showing an ascent. I can't say that for certain, but there again, I just got another picture from flight radar from Europe and North Africa, and all flights have been cleared out of North Africa. The entire region, country after country after country, has no planes in the air. Again, this is the last time I remember the last time I saw something this dramatic as far as flight paths were concerned was 9/11, when they took all the planes out of the air during the attacks. This is nuts. So. Difficult to say what's happening right now. But what appears to be the case is that we have this thing still going. Until I get information to the contrary. Until I get evidence. A remark was made that Long March is 21 tons of impending doom. At least we still have some humor getting interjected into this serious situation. But once again, to update this, the upper stage, and once again, I'm still not convinced that this thing hasn't actually crashed, but it doesn't appear to have done so. The time that it should have re-entered and burned up has come and gone, and now we are moving on to about, how big is it? About 20 to 21 tons. It's huge, and a good portion of it. So there was apparently something spotted in Melbourne, not the Long March booster, but something else burning up. Maybe a shooting star, but it could have also been a piece of wreckage from the booster. It's hard to say. This thing's definitely in a stage where it's hitting the atmosphere and starting to burn up bit by bit. So I guess we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen at this point. It's kind of nuts. That's for sure. This has gotten very interesting because, as I'm sure you guys can probably tell, this has not done what I expected it to do. It's not behaving in a manner that I expected. I thought for sure that it was just going to re-enter somewhere in the area of the Indian Ocean, that maybe South Australia might be at risk. Now this whole thing seems to be playing a game with us at the moment. And it's hard to say what's going on. Hard to say. What was the source of that picture? All right. I can't imagine that that's real. Well, if it's re-entered, God, I mean that's close to intact.
Oh dear.
What?
Somebody worked out his current trajectory, including the green light at its head.
You're kidding.
I'm just seeing a picture.
All right. Well, and the reason, which if you guys are wondering what's going on, I continue to talk to my producer. He's sending me new information all the time, and we have a situation where it may have, it could make it to the Cape, which that would be incredibly not cool. Yeah, it's current orbital trajectory on this next path does indeed take it over, Cape Canaveral and SLS. And that would be a colossal incident. Okay, once again, update you. Sorry, guys, I'm getting all of this kind of read to me, but at the same time, it's important that we keep you guys up to date. Air traffic continues to be cleared out of the projected path of this booster. This is causing way more chaos than the last one. A lot more chaos. There's seems to be very real and pressing concern that we have a very tangible danger to air traffic over heavily traversed flight paths, and they are clearing air traffic out of the way. And if that is indeed the case, then this booster is causing is wreaking havoc across the planet with our air traffic. I mean, this is no longer just something that, oh well, maybe it'll hit somewhere and land in somebody's backyard or something like that, or in somebody's farm. This is now becoming something that's causing disruption to our to air traffic, at least according to the reports we're getting in right now. And that ain't cool. That's something that's going to have diplomatic consequences if indeed we have this going on. And it does appear with all the maps that we're getting of air traffic that they are anticipating that it's going to come down somewhere in the that area of North Africa, somewhere in that region. But once again, they thought for sure it was coming down on the last orbit, and it's not. And keeping our eyes open here, trying to get you guys the most up-to-date information that we possibly can. Thanks again for joining us, by the way. Really do appreciate it. Almost 500 people watching. Thanks very much. Really do appreciate everybody being a part of this. You guys are great. It kind of was made that it should be way too high over Florida. I tend to agree, but then again, I've seen orbital paths and perigees and apogees change radically in terms of where they are in an orbit on these things, depending on how much they got decelerated or messed with by the atmosphere on their closest perigee. Sometimes that has a tremendous impact on their overall orbital path, and sometimes they can have a new perigee that is much further east or west of where it was the previous time. It's still officially ascending, Unofficially, who knows? Still checking for updates. Still nothing that we can get at the moment. We are checking every available source that usually keeps up with this stuff to see if there's any new data. Thus far, not much.
The Australian dude responded to me on Twitter.
All right. So apparently, it's again unconfirmed. Unconfirmed debris and a small piece of debris over Australia. Once again, we can't say that for certain. It might have just been a shooting star of some kind, but it did happen at the time that the booster should have been passing in the region. So it's hard to say for certain. It's still officially increasing in altitude, according to the data that we have. Given the fact that it did not burn up in the previous orbit, and it was expected to, I really don't see how the hell it's not going to have this happen again. All right, so Miguel Guerrera, who I'm aware of, actually, he's definitely an expert in this field. He's saying that we have impact in Africa. That's what he's anticipating. So yeah, it is not cool what's happening right now. I was thinking that once this thing started heading out over the Indian Ocean, that we were kind of out of the woods. And then it did not burn up as it was supposed to. And we are well past that reentry, past that reentry window. It should have burned up on the last pass, and it did not. So now, who knows? Not cool, that's for sure. So now it's going to be passing over what appears to be the Yucatan, maybe, and Cuba. So that's fun. And then, of course, over Florida. Now, during all of those times, it will also be its altitude will be high during its elliptical orbit, so it should not burn up at that point. But once again, that all depends on how much its velocity and its trajectory was impacted by its most recent perigee. That could have changed a lot. Once you come into contact with the atmosphere, then trajectories and tumble and everything really starts getting messed up. So you can see something coming in on the New Zealand weather radar passing straight over the Canterbury radar station. So yeah, this is not, again, this is not what we anticipated. It again is a reflection of uncontrolled reentries. These things catch you by surprise. They oftentimes do not do what you're anticipating, and so there's no way to really effectively and accurately predict what's going to happen. So all I can say is I'm not thrilled about this situation. Long March 5 booster now closing in on Central America and Cuba. The altitude is still officially increasing, but again, not too sure about this data. But we are staying with you. We're staying with you until we're replacing flight path, by the way, with something a little bit more accurate. And once again, thanks so much to everybody for tuning in. Really do appreciate your support. Over 500 people. Please subscribe. We've had lots and lots of new subscribers on this channel. Really do appreciate people joining the family. Please subscribe. So once again, we're getting a look at the latest orbital flight path. And again, it does explain why we have such a radical shift in air traffic. Yeah. And again, people talking a lot about the Cape. I find it unlikely that it's going to present any sort of threat to the Cape, given the fact that it's ascending rather than descending. But who knows? Who knows? But again, like I say, this thing has not behaved the way that it was expected to. It should have already been down now for an hour, or close to that, and it didn't. So now who knows what the hell this thing's going to do and where it's going to go. A bunch of unnecessary drama, by the way. Let me re-emphasize that. Unnecessary drama. We shouldn't have to be going through this nonsense. You know, the planet shouldn't have to be worried about this, and yet we are. You know, we're keeping track of this. We're wondering where it's going to come down. Planes are being diverted all over the world to stay away from it. It's having an impact on the smooth functioning of our normal processes in our civilization as a result of this one piece of space junk. Again, it reemphasizes just how important space is and the impact space can have on our everyday lives. Even, you know, something as minor as this and something that really shouldn't have an impact on what we're doing at all. Thank you, James. Really do appreciate that. Really do appreciate your support, James. Like I say, this is what keeps me on the air, and I do really appreciate your support. Spanish Airspace, once again, they are taking planes out of the sky. Second time today, by the way. Second time today that Spain is having to take their planes out of the air because of this damn piece of junk. I mean, this is intolerable. This is really intolerable now. The amount of chaos that this is causing. Plastic Pinocchio, thank you so much for the €6. Really do appreciate it. Data on the feed is in real time, right? It is calculated and updated next time it flies over a tracking station. We don't have global low Earth orbit radar coverage. That is true. What we've been getting instead is when we do pull up radar coverage, we're actually pulling up flight radar for particular areas in front of the satellite, rather of the booster, to determine what's being cleared out of the way. So that's what we've been using flight radar maps for. But that is true. This is not being tracked on radar, but rather projected tracks being delivered to us by NORAD. By the way, again, thanks so much for everybody's support that's been coming in. You guys are awesome. James and Plastic Pinocchio for helping us out, keeping us off the air. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, this is the best that we can get. And Jerry Pike Photography says, what time? Florida AM. Let's see, 6 in the morning, I guess, about 6 in the morning. So yeah, this thing is going to be flying, soaring over. Did you send me a DM? Okay, hang on. Just got another direct message for. Okay. Now the next pass over Spain, it's going to pass just north of Lisbon, over Portugal, of course, and then over Seville. Well, almost exactly between Madrid and Seville, before it flies out and over the Mediterranean briefly, and then goes right over. I'm talking directly over the city of Algiers. If it were to burn up there, that would be the worst possible place, or one of the worst possible places. it would send debris careening into the middle of a densely populated city. So hope to God that that's not where it burns up. That would not be, obviously not be cool at all. So once again, still having a look at its altitude, is continuing to head towards apogee. I'm amazed that it hasn't reached apogee yet. Again, these numbers very, very strange. And once again, this is all projected, so we don't know exactly down to the 100th of a kilometer where it is. But we're going to be seeing a descent again very soon, and then we'll see what happens from there. The fact that it's still in orbit is kind of surprising to me, though. I must say I'm a little shocked that it's still going. So we shall see. When is it expected to impact or burn psi? It should have already done it. The fact that it hasn't done it yet has come as a surprise to everybody, including the experts who track this stuff. So when? Any minute could happen. I mean, it's, all these numbers we're seeing, that's all projected stuff. For all we know, it could be burning up in the atmosphere right now. But what we do know is the path that it's on and who potentially is in harm's way. And right now, that includes Florida. And then it'll go zooming straight out over the Atlantic briefly. And then we start getting okay, so just flying over Mexico at the moment. We'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, its projected path over Spain and especially over Algiers is a particular source of concern. The fact that it will pass directly over this densely populated city, that is a whole lot of no fun. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. Officially, altitudes still increasing. Once again, aircraft are being grounded in Spain and in North Africa. Again, the second time today that we've had a disruption in commercial air traffic as a result of this nonsense. Very frustrating indeed. Yeah, Alan, there probably are some ships under its flight path, although highly, highly unlikely that anything would happen to a ship. The only thing that we really have to worry about is if we have a burn up over a densely populated area. And that possibility definitely exists on this orbit. And I know I said this on the last orbit, but it really doesn't seem likely that this thing will survive another orbit. But it could. It could. Altitude now seems to have come now, still ascending slightly. I mean, barely. I'm pretty certain that it's going to achieve apogee here, or if it has not achieved apogee, it will in a moment. Looks like we're about to start a descent. I think we have now reached apogee. So we should start to see those numbers go back down. Waiting on that for a moment. Wait for it. Let's see if we get a 176.27 here in just a moment. Well, it seems to be hanging around here. There we go. Okay. So it has now reached apogee, and now it has begun its descent. So we'll see what ends up happening at this point. Passing over the Cape, probably not skipping over the atmosphere currently. That seems unlikely at this altitude, and also the shape isn't right. Anytime that I've seen the altitude begin to do funny things, like go from perigee to apogee in the space of just a few thousand kilometers, for example, that just means that it's crashed and the data is no longer accurate. How does grounding aircraft reduce the risk to passengers? I'm sure the risk would be the same for a plane on the tarmac. I think they're most probably instead steering the planes around the potential area danger zone. And they're probably getting people.
Israel on the path down towards Saudi Arabia will start this space getting swapped off.
Airspace in Israel, Saudi Arabia being cleared up. And another important thing, even if you had pieces of debris going crashing through a plane on the tarmac, that's not nearly as devastating as if it's in the air. If it's in the air, it's going to crash and you're going to have a bunch of dead passengers, where if it's on the tarmac, you might lose a couple of passengers at most, assuming that, of course, you don't take people off. So right now, out over the Atlantic, this would be the time, of course, that we would really want it to burn up. But somehow, I don't think that that's actually going to happen. Seems far more likely that we're going to get a burn up somewhere over Spain or North Africa, possibly in the vicinity of Yemen. God, that would be an awful thing. Given all the awful things that have happened to that country already, I'd say that'd be the last damn thing that they would want. Especially once again, since they don't know it's coming. I mean, we're talking to people who are used to getting bombed and shelled, that sort of thing on a regular basis. That's what this would certainly be interpreted as. To most of these people who really don't have the slightest idea. Over the Atlantic right now, again, this would be an ideal time for it to crash, but that seems unlikely given its orbital path, and it's beginning its descent. And the last time that it flew past Spain, it really descended rapidly. Given that this is going to happen again, I would say that the likelihood of an impact on this particular orbital path is very high. But at the same time, I was convinced that it was going to crash on the last time based on everything I was hearing. Not true. But again, air traffic being diverted from everything in its way. This is once again just, it's different than last time, we'll put it that way. It is indeed very different from last time. We're still checking for any sorts of updates, anything that we might have at all from our usual suspects, and I'm getting nothing, a whole lot of nothing. Sort of frustrating. Again, it indicates that there's just a lot that we don't even know. But people are definitely taking no chances. Okay, just checking USST for updates. Anything new? Not much. Wow. We are really not getting a lot of information. Now, granted, by the way, here's an official. Here's an official news report. Flights grounded in Catalonia by possible fall of Chinese rocket. There's a news report that just came out. So this.
For the first time, I'm looking at airport because of a rocket.
So this is certainly never heard of this before, of air traffic being diverted or flights being changed and adjusted because of a rocket re-entering. And once again, I would say that that is probably the most logical conclusion that we can come to, is that there is a very real possibility that this damn thing is coming down right in the middle of Spain or Portugal. Or if it isn't, it's going to start burning up at that point and is going to be sending debris flying through the airspace in that region. It's like I say, this is serious. The orbital path that the booster is taking this time, as opposed to the last times, puts a lot of people in harm's way. And there's no other way to say that. This is not good. Again, ridiculously irresponsible, incredibly reckless on the part of the People's Republic of China to create this kind of chaos. Andy, thank you so much for £5. Really do appreciate it. I'm glad that you enjoyed the Saxavord videos. I made 3 videos about Saxavord, a spaceport that I anticipate is going to be the second busiest spaceport on the planet, next to Cape Canaveral, because it's going to have 30 launches per year, 30 launches per year. So in any event, if you haven't seen those videos, check them out. All from about Saxavord all the way in Shetland, way up in the north there, a very remote region to say the least, very tough to get to it. I covered some of what was necessary in order to get there. It was all very amazing, exciting, and kind of difficult sometimes, but very rewarding to see this amazing, gorgeous place where they're going to be launching a rocket pretty much every 10 days. Once they get up and running at full speed, they've got 7 different launch providers, including 2 American launch providers flying out of there. Very exciting indeed, everything that's going to be happening in Saxavord. And of course, then we have stuff happening for Spaceport Cornwall, major media event coming up on Tuesday that I'll be covering. The UK Space Agency involved with that, and a lot of other stuff, Virgin Orbit, etc. I'll be covering the launch of the Start Me Up mission, as it is called, which is starting up spaceflight in Europe for the first time. Launches, actually orbital launches from Europe, as opposed to taking it all the way down to the Caribbean. A lot of amazing things happening here in Europe that it's been my privilege to report on. Chris, thank you so much for the £10. Really appreciate that. And I just noticed you signing on. Thanks so much again for the support and for everybody's support today. You guys are fantastic. This is indeed what keeps this content coming. So we are now again in this rapid descent mode. As you can see, the altitude is dropping off a lot more quickly than it was a moment ago. Again, these are projected paths rather than tracking in real time, but air traffic has been cleared out of the way of this damn thing as it plunges towards Spain and North Africa. And there's every reason to believe, especially based on these the diversion of air traffic, that this thing is going to be burning up in this particular area. If it does, all we can hope for is it burns up somewhere over the Sahara instead of burning up over a major city. The path takes it once again directly over the city of Algiers, directly. That is a very densely populated city. And if it were to end with a lot of people who have no idea what's happening, many people in Algiers don't have easy access to internet or to up-to-the-date news reporting. We're talking about a lot of people in the sites of the Long March 5 booster, right in its sights, who have no idea what's heading their way. And let's hope that it passes them by, because it would be a very, very cruel twist of fate if that were to happen. And that goes for everybody in the path of this this rocket booster. But according to the projected path of Long March 5B right now, directly over the city of Algiers. That seems to be the greatest risk right now. Let's hope that it passes it by. Thank you, Gunnar. Really do appreciate it. Jeff, thank you so much. Yeah, I need to get trimming taken care of again. That's actually, I just need to get that out again and get that trimming done. Yes, my producer's starting to run out of energy, going, well, Def Man, thank you so much for the £5. Let's hope the result of this pointless situation does not end up with a lot of anger that makes people fearful of space rockets. Very true indeed. Very true indeed. Yep. Closing in on Lisbon. Almost time to go in outside. I guess we may have a Portuguese viewer right now. All I can say is I hope you don't see anything burning up. Because if you see things burning up, that means... Jeez. So many people watching, but if you see something burning up, that means that there's, stuff coming down in places where it isn't great for rocket debris to be coming down. So if you do go out, I hope all you see is maybe some, flashing light in the sky. Given the fact that it's daytime, you're unlikely to see anything at all, but, it could be something burning up. I certainly hope not. Let's hope that it stays up there and stays in orbit just long enough to get us past this dangerous moment. But clearly, all the various aviation agencies in the region are not taking that chance, clearing air traffic out of the area very rapidly, almost frantically. This is not something they were expecting, not something that they were anticipating. This is causing major disruption in Spain, in North Africa, in Saudi Arabia, in any air traffic in the way of this booster. Egypt, obviously, all of these areas. So it's going to pass over Tripoli as well, according to this Laysbath. Thank you very much. I appreciate that update. Again, Tripoli, a very, very densely populated area, an area that's experienced all kinds of hardship and chaos lately, where ordinary people are being victimized by very bad men in Tripoli. It's not been a pleasant place to be. It wasn't pleasant in the first place with with Gaddafi and all that, but it's gotten much, much worse since his overthrow for the average person. And to have something like this, to have to contend with as well, let's hope not. Let's hope that it passes them by as well. But rapidly descending. And I will be very shocked if it makes it through another orbit. This is the stage where we are just hoping and praying that it stays in the air all the way to the Indian Ocean. If it manages to make it there, I really doubt it will survive another orbit. Andy, thank you so much for being an angry advocate. That's fantastic. And make sure to keep your eye open on in the announcements on the as an angry advocate, as a member. You'll have access to our Discord server and can start conversing with me and many other people who are really, really well informed in the world of spaceflight. Very, 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 very well informed people. Spain, Portugal, airspace. Pardon? We just posted that on there as well. Yes, we're certainly hoping for East Indian Ocean as well. But it appears now that that things may be normalizing in Spain. Certainly hope so. And now it's North Africa is pretty much on the next on the list. But again, hard to say for certain. Hard to say what we've got. What we do have, though, is a booster that is descending very rapidly, careening towards the ground. All we can do is hope that it manages to stay aloft just long enough to make it to the Indian Ocean. Let's certainly hope so. But yes, there is John, thank you so much for coming on, being a member for 6 months. Wow, fantastic! Really do appreciate that. And once again, you get access to early releases on my videos and also Discord membership. So thanks very much to folks who are joining right now and supporting. Perfect opportunity for Saudi Arabia to test an anti-SAT missile. Yeah, unfortunately, all that would do is create a big cloud of debris that would go everywhere, and most probably cause devastation over a larger region. So yeah, there's no easy way to deal with this, unfortunately. No easy way at all. Last Perigee was at 142 kilometers. I think it's going to drop a lot more at this point, and I don't see how it's going to survive in an orbit. I do believe that this thing is going to be coming down very, very, very. We're continuing to try to stay up to date on this as much as possible. I'm just pulling up latest information to see if we have any posts, anything recently from any of our sources. Spain is now safe. Spain is now safe, so you can breathe a sigh of relief. Spain and Portugal, no longer a threat to you. Now, North Africa and Yemen, and seems to be the area that is the most at risk. Again, this thing is plunging very, very rapidly, and it was not expected to survive the last orbit. I don't see how in the world it could possibly survive this one.
The longest of its own path that it's showing is along the top end of Algeria and Tunisia, and worried about airspace. It's like 2 weeks back on track.
All right. All right. So once again, threatening the regions of North Africa. Those are the inhabited areas that are currently at risk. All we can do is hope that is not the case, and that it's going to stay aloft just long enough to pass over these inhabited areas. If it does do that, then it will make it out to the Indian Ocean and most probably be all right. It is just dropping below 160 kilometers, at least officially, and continuing its very rapid descent. Again, wow, considering how quickly it is dropping right now, boy, I don't know. This is not looking good. Wow, that's fast. So we'll see. It's about to hit the 158 mark, and it still has all of Africa to cross, almost all of North Africa to cross, all the way down.
US Space Commander just tweeted, for the People's Republic of China's Long March B-5 season, 5B rocket re-entered the atmosphere on the South Central Pacific Ocean at 10:01, so about 34 minutes ago. Details on the code. He's landed.
Thank God it's dead. The booster is down. It took us a long time to get that confirmed, but the booster is down. And it appears that it had dropped a while ago, and it took them forever to track the damn thing. Thank God. So the booster actually came down somewhere in the Pacific. It does appear the only area that theoretically could be at risk if it did manage to make it a little further than they projected is somewhere in Mexico. But other than that, it seems very, very likely that it has come down in the Pacific, and we can all breathe a sigh of relief. I don't know why it took U.S. Space Command this long to figure out that it had come down, but nevertheless it did. Thank God. So yeah, and this again, the source is U.S. Space Command. So the official source is now confirmed that the booster has crashed, that nobody is at risk, thank God. And yeah, but nevertheless, this has caused big disruption in the world. It has. Simple as that. It has, air traffic has had to scurry out of the way because of the lack of certainty about this. Once again, though, because it came down in an area that wasn't densely populated, again, China will just blow it off and say, see, nothing to be worried about. But you know what? Obviously, there was something to be worried about. Otherwise, they wouldn't have cleared all of these planes out of its way. So this time, this damn thing created a lot of disruption on the planet, and there should be some kind of repercussions. So, folks, thank you very much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. And until there are actual repercussions for this sort of irresponsibility in the future, I urge all of you to stay angry about space.